Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me as always is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone. Yay.
We did it. I almost forgot the intro. For some reason, I've been doing too many videos for my YouTube channel, and I cross-contaminated it. I started introing one of those and not introing this. It's pretty sad. I'm not
He's
even
merging them, everyone. He's merging the channels.
Merging them. Well, you know, that's a good joke to start the channel, to start the episode. But I will say another thing that would be really cool is, hey, listen, it's been pointed out to me. I've been very overly enthusiastic lately, but I got to tell you, this is my favorite episode ever.
Again.
It's not, though.
9.9.
Oh, man. Yeah, folks, I know I've been a little enthusiastic about the ratings, but I have been so hyped for Mandalorian, which is what we're going to talk about today. And man, oh man, it's been a heck of a ride. The past like 3 episodes have been really, really good. And I've probably been over enthusiastic. Might have wanted to dial it down a little bit, but I mean the Jedi, that still is my favorite episode of the season. This one. Mm-hmm. I think you'll agree was very good. Maybe not my favorite episode, but you know, we're going to go through it. But let's go ahead and start with a little bit of counsel here, man. How you been this week?
It's been a good week. It's been a very quick week. And that is all. No, everything's been fine. Just had some family up, spent the weekend with us, and now just getting ready for the mad rush. We only have 20 days left until Christmas, so
yeah,
it's all just going to be a blur now.
Right. Yeah, doing Christmas shopping and, you know, having a ton of delays in shipping. I actually read an article where UPS was stopping picking up for certain like bigger retailers, not like little people, but like the big box store retailers. They were starting to slow down. I'm actually waiting on a package for, you know, some potential upgrades for this channel, for our Patreon content. And it was in Columbus in the regional distribution center. And it was like, oh, we're in transit to your post office. And it hasn't been there for like 4 days. So either they lost it, which would just be great, or it will maybe get here someday in January. I don't know. It'll be great.
I haven't had any trouble with shipments lately, but I've really only been on eBay and Amazon. No, you know, obscure websites, not even Walmart, really. So,
well, this stuff was just coming from Best Buy.
But today I'm gonna. Oh, really?
I mean, it was literally stuff that it was just things that I couldn't pick up at my local Best Buy. So I had to have it shipped in, but it was like in stock, ready to roll. And it got here and then it just stopped. It just stopped in Columbus. It was kind of weird. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's the season, but I feel like past seasons just haven't been this bad. But I also think, and we talked about this a little bit before, some of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff was pretty good. I think this was a big year for online shopping, which means increased shipping. And I don't know how the hiring's been for a lot of the shipping companies. Because honestly,
it's
who
hard
really
to
wants
say with
to do
social
that?
distancing. They can't really. I mean, with social distancing and everything, it's hard to pick up many extra people.
Yeah.
For this time of year, so they've probably been slammed. I know I have a friend who works in the postal service, and I mean, this is the worst time of year for those people. I mean, really should give some respect to them. They work very hard right now.
I have a lot of respect for those who work for, you know, the postal service, UPS, FedEx, all that stuff, but not DHL. DHL can suck it. Just kidding. They're fine. Or God, there was this one. I ordered this really, really cool print. There is, and this has nothing to do with Star Wars, but there is a website. I believe the website is just lordofmaps.com. He's on Instagram. I heard of him from my buddies over at the Unexpected Podcast, Talking Tolkien. But he does him and his wife both do these hand-drawn maps, which they make prints of. And they did an Ohio map recently. So it's done in the style of Lord of the Rings, like the Lord of the Rings map. And, you know, he puts like the little cities and topography and stuff. And it's really, really cool. And I've honestly been considering getting the United States map because they've been giving updates on that where it's like, oh, yeah, my wife just finished Montana. I just finished Florida type of deal. And they're reasonably priced and they have a bunch of different sizes. But anyway, they sent it through like a shipping partner. There's a lot of shipping partners out there. And I always make the joke, I call them Peaky Blinders. It's not what they're called. It's the name of a show, but it's like Peaky something or Peak something or whatever. And I'd never heard of them. I looked them up, but it took forever to get here. And it was just like, it was making all these random stops and it's very strange. But yeah, a lot of respect to our mail carriers and so forth, because that job sucks. And I mean, yes. I lost a package maybe 6 months ago and it went to another address like behind me, but I didn't know that. I mean, how am I going to know? But it was another, you know, similar numbered house, just wrong street. And yeah, the guy, I had to call and they were like, oh yeah, we'll figure it out. And they figured it out. And the guy came and, you know, he was like, you know, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, no need to be sorry. This sort of stuff happens. And I wish he would have stopped there because, like, honestly, I really did feel bad for the guy. I stopped feeling bad for the guy when he said, well, it got me in trouble. It's like, but it should have because you misdelivered it. Just right. I don't need an apology. I actually have gotten into that. It's like, don't apologize to me. Just do better type of deal. But, you know, I do feel for those guys because, like, it's a big deal. Those companies are not, they're not like ultra forgiving. So although I wish he wouldn't have said that, like he got in trouble, it's like, but I'm not going to feel bad for you for getting, you know, you getting it. I had anything wrong. I wanted my package. You did that kind of wrong. Yeah. You delivered it wrongly. It's not a big deal, but just, you know, live up. It's not a big deal, but I feel for him. Because it's a tough job. I wouldn't want to do it personally. I would if I had to, but I wouldn't want to if I didn't have to. So, yes.
Yeah, and honestly, most people have no respect for them at all. I mean,
no, they don't. Oh my goodness, they're
kind of hated. Truthfully, it's like you realize what life would be like if they weren't around. I mean, it'd be miserable to send anything to anybody.
Do you remember? Do you remember that Kevin Costner movie? I'm going to look it up here to make sure. Yeah, okay. So it was 1997. Kevin Costner was making a lot of these post-apocalyptic things. Well, there was a lot of post-apocalyptic in the 90s, but so it was called The Postman. Do you remember that movie? No.
Vaguely. I don't know if I know of the name. I don't know if I ever watched it, though.
Gotcha.
I knew it was around.
Well, essentially, it's, you know, again, it's like post-apocalyptic, but Costner's character like stumbles across like an old postal service like uniform and like a book, and he starts like trying to bring mail to people, like old mail to people. And of course, you know, the movie has a nice feel good, like, oh, it's restoring the states, you know, but it really does. If you think about mail in like olden days, you know, the carriages running across the Minutemen and, you know, the horse-drawn sort of stuff, and the rating of those, like, you know, riding shotgun isn't something you just yell, you know, oh yeah, shotgun. There's a reason for riding shotgun, and it was your shotgun guy. You know, it was a guy, he had a shotgun, a coach shotgun, and, you know, to fend off bandits who would try and steal the mail and, you know, whatever that could be. It could be gold. It could just be personal stuff, but there was value in there. So now we have this whole postal network and it connects us like crazy. I still love getting mail, but this is the way we do it. I mean, email, text, cell phone, everything's so advanced. But if we didn't have a postal service in some way, I mean, how do you get your stuff? Well, you know what? Honestly,
right.
You know, stuff wouldn't get to the stores, so you couldn't buy it from the stores. It's crazy. So you got to have it. But yeah, watch The Postman. Kevin Costner, good guy. Does a lot of Star Wars stuff, by the way. Tons of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Well, man,
I'll get right on that after I watch Mulan. Now that's finally free.
Yeah, Mulan. Yeah, Disney plugs for sure. The $30 movie that's now free.
That should have been, 10 or 15.
Yeah, that's another thing.
I understand why they do it because, it does make up for movie theater, loss in revenue there. But 30 is just a bit ridiculous to me when I could buy it cheaper.
Yeah, it's totally,
the physical copy.
Exactly. The physical copy, unless you're getting the Ultra HD, 3D, whatever thing, ultraviolet, those things, a lot of times you can get below $30. So it seemed odd, but I will say this. Do you remember a service called Movie Pass?
Yes.
So Movie Pass went. Well,
it was like Blockbuster, right?
Well, okay, so it was like a service that you paid monthly for, but you could go do it and see free movies. And in the beginning, it was like unlimited free movies, and then they capped you because they realized how much of a nuisance it was. Movie theaters hated Movie Pass because it was basically like you could in the beginning. It was like you could see unlimited movies all the time. And there was a College Humor video joke about it. Or no. It wasn't College Humor. It was Gus Johnson, who's a YouTuber. And he'd come up on there. It's like, hey, I'm so-and-so, go see whatever you want. And then it was like, a few moments later, it's like, hey guys, maybe just don't see every movie, maybe just see a couple and, continue to tell your friends. And it was like, stop telling your friends about Movie Pass. You can only see 2 movies now. You've ruined it. You know what? No, you can't see Mission Impossible, that sort of stuff. So Movie Pass was interesting, but I'll tell you what, there is going to be something, I have to assume. And if you're smart, obviously I don't have the money, the infrastructure, the knowledge, or the connections to do it. Someone out there is going to do this. They are going to invent an app, okay? They're going to invent an app where it is online movie theater, okay? And I would say, dude, Cinemark, you had better do this because if you don't, you're screwed, or whoever, whatever.
They all are. Well, we will be the generation that sees the last movie in a theater.
Maybe. Well, I don't believe that personally. I think that there is a nostalgia and also a fun of going to a movie theater that will never go away. I understand the pessimism.
Well, it's not even that. It's just the fact that you can't go. They're closed. So I think that
true.
The brands that we have now will go away. They'll eventually open new theaters again when this all, finally ends. But right now, I don't think you'll see AMC anymore. I don't think you'll see Premiere anymore.
The big national brands, you're right. I do believe that they will definitely go down, but I think you'll still see theaters. But anyway, here's what you do, in my opinion. You band together. You make this app. You charge it off like you're going to movie. You do $5 a movie. Like $5 a movie, and you effectively it's just a one watch rental, essentially. One watch rent, not a day. You could do a day if you really wanted to, but personally, if it's new, like the new movies, here's how it goes. Let's say, I don't know, new Star Wars movie comes out, goes on the app. You pay $5, you watch it. Ooh, I want to watch that again. $5, you watch it again. Just like a theater, but it's at home. And I think that's how you combat it. That's how it surprises me that they haven't really done that yet. Like, why isn't there an app I can, or is there? I don't even know. Maybe there is an app I can download onto my TV and just do that. Is there? I don't know.
I don't think there is. It's funny you mentioned that. There used to be kind of a version of that on the Xbox 360. Basically what you would do, and obviously it wasn't brand new movies, but you could share the cost of a rental with other friends on your friends list.
Oh, interesting.
And what it would do, it would put you in this little virtual movie theater. You remember the avatars that they used to have you make when you had an Xbox? Or do you know of that? I know you didn't have a 360.
I had a 360. I don't really remember, but maybe.
Okay. So basically, you would make this little avatar just to look like you, and that would be. I don't really know what the purpose of it was, but you could have it as like your gamer card, so that's what people would see on your profile. But it was just a little like a me character from the Wii.
Yep.
So you would have those, and you'd be in this little virtual movie theater, and all of your characters from all your friends list that would get on it would all sit down in the movie theater, and then it would play the movie.
That's kind of fun. That. Yeah, sure.
But you would share the cost of the rental and just watch it together, basically. So something like that would be cool. But yeah, $5, one watch, and you're done. The problem would be you don't make any money off of. And I feel like movie theaters probably make more money off concession than they do the actual movie.
But that being said, that is going to go into the cost of running the theater, paying employees, keeping the lights on, power bills, water bills, electric, gas bills, whatever. This is solely to lease the rights to play the movies digitally.
Right.
So for me, you can't make it high price. You can't.
No.
On an app.
No one would do it. Because again, people will just then wait and get it on Netflix, and it'd be part of their streaming price.
But I think that would be a really, really cool idea. Only new movies, the newest thing. It's like, this is going to the theater. And again, you pay a lower price. I don't even know what tickets are now. I don't even remember the last movie I went. It might have been Rise of Skywalker. Might have been the last movie that I went to a theater to watch. And I don't remember. I think it might have been $8 for a ticket at the time.
Yeah.
But you break it down to those matinees for $3.99, $4.99, whatever, $5. You just rent it. You watch it. You're good to go. You can even show the previews. Like do that cool little movie theater where everybody's like, that would be a sweet interactive thing. Like you in the app, you create your little person, and it goes and sits in the theater. You have this graphic. It's almost like you're sitting with multiple people. You could do a chat. Mm-hmm. You could do a UI chat, and then you could chat with people just watching the movie with you. Plays the previews, and as soon as the previews go blank, the screen goes full, and then there you have your movie. Mm-hmm. I think that would be cool. We need we need a small personal loan of a couple $1 million to start this, man. Just a small business loan.
The collateral can be, let's see. Oh no, I've got a TV and an Xbox One to wager up on that collateral. What do you got? A knife collection.
Well, I guess I have the house. Just throw the house on there. I don't need to live. It's fine. Live under a roof.
I'd say I have my car, but it's a lease, so I can't really use that as collateral.
I'm just saying, I think that would be and you could play with the UI of this thing to make it fun. Twitch has done. I know we're really over talking here on this, so sorry if you just want to skip to Star Wars. I'm sure skipped a minute, whatever. I don't even know what it'll be now. But like Twitch, you can do watch along parties with the streamers. So they pop up a movie from Amazon Prime, and then you watch it along with them with their commentary, and you have a chat window open where everybody's chatting that's on the channel. You have the guys doing commentary if they're doing commentary. It's like sitting with your friends. I think you could make it really nice and cozy, and then if you didn't want to do that, you turn off that feature toggle, and you don't have to do a chat or you don't have to do a thing. I don't know. I think it could be very, very easy to do that. The movie companies are still making money. They still get their numbers. Like we had, so many people watching this movie on opening day. We made this money on it, and they're making money on the movies. Well, Tenet was. I think Tenet they were trying to prop up as like a big movie. I think that was like summer. I don't think it did very well because nobody was at the flipping theaters. So anyway, it's a way to make money. I feel that would be cool. But how about we get to the Mandalorian? What do you think? Minute 20? Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay.
That's an average for us. So why not?
Yeah, sometimes.
All right. So is it actually letting us both play it at the same time? That's what.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you currently watching it as we speak?
I've hit. Yeah, there we go. So, all right. Season 2.
Yay, stealing.
Season 2. Episode 6. Chapter 14. The Tragedy. Let's see here. Directed by Robert Rodriguez. So kind of cool there. I know a lot of people were giving him some shout outs. Obviously he's done some some interesting movies. But he did do Desperado.
That's a word.
I love Desperado. Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I know some people enjoy that. From Dusk Till Dawn, if you like vampires. Spoilers. Sin City. Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Everybody loved that too.
God, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so he's been around the block. I think he is very talented, but I think sort of like Tarantino, which they have collaborated. I think they kind of, they definitely appreciate the.
I think they did Planet Terror together, didn't they?
I'm not sure. Maybe yes, they did. Yeah, there's a ton of those, but anyway, they can get a little bit B movie, but I think that they both they can appreciate that. That's cool. That's fine. So spoilers ahead. Obviously, make sure that you close your little ears. I know not everybody's doing that. Still, like I've had more people comment that I have to watch this at like the stroke of midnight to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, and this is the worst episode for me to watch in a timely fashion. I watched it this morning for the first time.
Yeah.
Actually managed to avoid all spoilers, but I did not get on the internet really.
Good. Yeah, well, you don't really
Friday and yesterday.
You don't really social media though, so I mean, it's not
as much as I used to. Honestly, I don't really get on Facebook, and I don't have a Twitter. So, but honestly, just pulling up Chrome, I'll have article spoilers.
Really?
And YouTube, if I pull up YouTube, the first couple ones, they'll usually be clickbait with spoilers and a screenshot. So
wow,
I already knew that.
That
Boba Fett would be. I knew that Boba Fett would be in this episode because of opening up Chrome. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
God,
it's crazy.
Stupid. Yeah, that's dumb. So let's go ahead and run through a little bit here. I know there's a lot of speculation that I personally have, but we're on our way to what was our planet?
I knew it started with a V.
No, it didn't.
I think it didn't. Are you sure?
No, I want to say it, but I don't want to be wrong and miss. Tython. Tython's the planet.
Tython.
So we had talked about this last week, and this is deep core planet, site of a Jedi temple / rock / Stonehenge.
It's a
Stonehenge.
Shrine.
Where the demons. Anyway, so we open up here with Mando and Grogu. Grogu's playing along with his little ball, and I did like a little bit more humor here. Saying his name, he looks up. Grogu. What?
Grogu.
I did see a meme.
Okay, now we're just treating him like a dog.
Yeah, I did see a meme though that I thought was kind of funny, and it was Ahsoka and Grogu, and like Mando said something about is like, oh, it's good to know his name, and he's like, well, okay, he's asking what your name is because he's just been calling you Shiny Boba Fett. So, I thought that was kind of cute. Anyway, so
you get a lot of banter too. This is probably the most Mando's talked probably in an episode this season, I would say.
Yeah, I could see that. We also get a little bit more of like Mando kind of playing catch, so to speak, with Grogu. He takes the little ball and has him, force it back. So that's kind of neat to see a little bit of that back and forth. But I will say, we talk about expressions. Obviously, Mando, we don't get to see the expressions because we don't see his face, but we can kind of feel it. And even here with Grogu, we see, at least for me, when we're talking about going to this planet, and I think this is sort of like a little bit of a tie back to Ezra too, when Kanan, they were looking for Luminara, Master Luminara. And I think that might have been season 1, season 2. And unfortunately, spoilers, Master Luminara had been dead, but the Inquisitor had been using her to lure in Jedi. And the point I'm making is that at that time, Ezra was feeling really down because it felt like Kanan was just trying to pawn him off. And I feel like when we look at this particular scene with Grogu as Mando's talking to him, it almost feels like he looks a little sad too, because he's like, well, are you just going to pawn me off? You know, obviously there's a connection between the two. So I thought that was pretty cool. Good use of our little Yoda, or little, sorry, not Yoda, little Grogu puppet thing.
Everyone with us. Grow. Good.
I also saw another meme where it was like, it was the reverse of that. You know, the
Kylo Ren and
but it was
baby
like
Yoda one,
baby Yoda, baby Yoda, Grogu, you know, and it's like the reverse of that. So I thought that was kind of funny. So again, we make it to Tython, which did you think we were not going to make it to Tython, like a little bit, like there was something that was going to stop us?
Well, again, that was another kind of spoiler for me. Second time opening up Chrome, I get to see Cara Dune. So it's like, oh, we go back there first. So obviously we're not going to Tython. Okay, we're going to see Cara go, and we're going to go back to whatever that planet is, and just hang out there for a little bit. Fine, another setup episode.
Well, I think
no, I didn't think that.
Well, one of the things, I think the thumbnail in Disney Plus was Cara, because I think I remember seeing that as well. And I was like, oh, okay, are we going back or? Yeah, we'll see. But we do make it to Tython, and we see this, this rock formation, which is kind of like a little Stonehenge. Mm-hmm. Can't land on it. It's too small. And
it's a good thing we always have the jetpack. It just speeds up everything.
I liked his joke though. What was it? It's like we're gonna travel with the windows down.
Yes.
That was funny to me. I actually really kind of like that. So we get Grogu. There is a stone in the center of this rock formation, and there's some symbols on it. Mando is put down as his little scanner, and he's trying to scan to see what or if anything is there or anything he can activate. He does, however, see a ship.
Yeah.
Let's hope that this ship has been renamed.
No, you don't get to rename it. No,
dude. They didn't say it, but obviously this was Boba Fett's, Jango Fett's, and then Boba Fett's ship. Granted, in the EU, Slave 1 was destroyed at one point, and then it was Slave 2. We're assuming that this is probably still Slave 1. Not named, but the classic ship.
Probably for the best.
I'll be interested to see if they name it, honestly, because Boba Fett... Do you just want to have the Boba Fett talk right now?
Sure.
Okay. Let me throw a few things out here. Boba Fett in the EU was not a good guy. And even with that, when he was in some of the cartoons and stuff, he really wasn't a good kid either. Obviously a bounty hunter, but really ruthless. And he was written a ton of different ways, but he wasn't necessarily a good guy, okay? So the way he is portrayed in this episode, in my opinion, is a lot different. And I think it's either an attempt to bring more sympathy towards an older Boba Fett or to set up for a series. Right? Because you have to have a sympathetic character, somebody you like.
Yes.
The redemption of Boba Fett.
And really, and again, the only canon we really have now for Boba Fett is a movie and Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like the slate has been wiped clean, and we have the chance to completely change the outlook on him. Maybe they make him out to be less of a villain now. I'm not sure, but he has a certain honor and code that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was odd.
Yeah, I don't. I think we'll hold a little bit of that towards the end because it is a little bit more towards the end. But yeah, the interaction with the Mandalorian with Din Djarin is different than what you would typically expect. So let's just pick up back on the track here because Grogu touches the stone. And we have this energy field surrounding him, and he's doing the little Zen.
Isn't that the cutest freaking thing ever?
It was so cool. And I wanna live in this moment just for a little bit because I think it's huge. I think it is huge, and it will remain huge throughout the rest of potentially the series and next season. So we're surrounded by this energy field. Mando does try and penetrate it once in the early stages here, and he's not able to get it.
And then again, and then again.
So this is his communion with the Force. So the big question is, did he reach someone? Or someone's, plural. What do you think about that?
Well, unfortunately, it's getting ahead of ourselves a bit, but it's not really going to matter a whole lot right now if he did, unless there's a way to track him after doing that. I would like to think they did. I mean, there's not a whole lot of lore on this stone, this monument, but I would like to believe that he did contact somebody in the process.
Mm-hmm. So I absolutely think he did contact someone. So who let's just say, for the sake of argument, he did. Who's out there, right? Who's out there right now? Who's Force sensitive and trained?
We have a handful, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think with how this season's going, with the fan service we're getting and everything, I think it's Ezra. I'm going for Ezra.
I think Ezra makes a lot of sense. Because obviously we've thrown down Thrawn. Now, again, and I think we talked about this in the last episode, or we talked about it personally, so let's just reiterate. Dave Filoni has alluded to the fact that the Ahsoka episode was, in all these events, were before the very end scene of Rebels. So, if that is the case, then it is probably not Ezra. Or if it is the case, it could be Ezra, but we won't see him.
But the timeline would be difficult to,
Yeah, we won't see him yet because they haven't went looking for him yet. So that is a little bit of a pin in that because of the timeline. Let's talk about some other people it could be, though. Leia, Luke. Been a lot of talk about Luke. There were some people on Twitter talking about Sebastian Stan playing a young Luke. We could always bring in Kyle Katarn. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, put somebody else out there.
We could have our tie-in into Jedi Fallen Order as well.
Yep, Cal Kestis for sure. Yep.
Unfortunately, now that she's not canon, it's sad, but we don't have the chance of seeing Mara Jade.
Well, that's been something that a lot of people have talked about, though. Is this the moment when we can canonize Mara? I think you could still tell a story about Mara Jade. I think you could still tell the story about Luke's attachment to Mara and potentially having a relationship that didn't work out in this case. I still don't think we're going to. I don't think that that's the direction. I think it would be sick, but I don't think we're going to see it.
But there's also a flip side to that. When did the Emperor finally come back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Could certainly have contacted Snoke too at that point if he had been created.
I don't think he was at this point, but yeah, I mean, it's possible.
somewhere in the timeline. I'm not sure when, but I mean, the Emperor could be able to I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but it was a big coincidence who shows up and when, you know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. I think that he communed with someone who's not technically alive. I think he's talking to Yoda.
Daddy. That's something I was kind of thinking about. What if we got a Force ghost in this series? How would you feel about that?
I'm totally cool with it. I think Yoda makes a ton of sense. You know, communing with him a bit, and I think.
What if he was close with Qui-Gon in his time in the temple? There's another one.
Well, okay, so seeing as you mentioned that, let's just jump into that as well, because here's the other thing. Someone had to hide Grogu and then also get him off of Coruscant. And I also have a theory to that too, which could also tie into who we could see coming into this lane. And for me, that's Mace Windu. Mm-hmm. Because if Yoda didn't get him out, Yaddle didn't get him out, Mace Windu would make the most logical sense. There is so much lore and canon that would suggest that a Jedi could survive a fall of a lot of different
large
magnitudes.
Falls just don't damage Jedi as much as people think.
Well, we saw it in the comics
the way in which. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we saw it in the comics with Ben when Snoke was, in quotations, training him. He threw him off a cliff and basically had him save himself. And then that tied into Rise when Palpatine threw him off of a precipice, and then he was able to, you know, get back. So fall damage is not necessarily a big thing in Star Wars. So basically we're just dealing with hands, the damage
which
that
he doesn't need hands to carry Grogu.
Well, you know, and by now he could have some nice robot hands or whatever. But Samuel L. Jackson has said on occasion that he would like to play Mace Windu again. And I think that, you know, he's obviously older physically, but you would age him and probably have some damage.
But it would actually be perfect in the timeline.
I think so. And
because he took a lot of damage through Force Lightning, so that would age you in a way.
And I also think it wouldn't be like as big a shock because, like, with everybody talking about Luke, there are really two camps. It's like, well, if you bring Luke in, you're nerfing the Mandalorian. This is called the Mandalorian. You're nerfing that.
Yeah.
And then there's some that says, well, this is what we deserve. It's like, no, what we deserve is a movie or several books explaining what happened after Return of the Jedi. I'm just saying that eventually we should get that. But anyway, Mace, I think, would be less of a shock to the system, you know, coming in and saying, you know, something like, you know, I failed back in the day and, you know, but I was able to get him out. And now we need to train him so that we can have some hope for the Jedi Order or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The other thing too, I was going to ask you about, do you think they would do like coherent Mace or like maybe a slightly crazy Mace, like the Saul Guerrera, like from Rogue One? Like he has his own Borg gullet with him. I need to know the truth.
I would hope it's not that bad, but certainly could be. I think that if nothing else, he would have some major PTSD. It'd be obviously very untrusting,
right,
of the Mandalorian if he interacted with him. And oh my God, look at the potential setup for confrontation between him and Boba Fett if he did that.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Well, but that could also be a furtherance of the growth of Fett's character, though, and that, you know, he could be like, you killed my father, but maybe I understand, or I forgive you for that, or something of that nature. You've suffered, I've suffered, and then that's the drop of it. But yeah, I could see that. Yeah. That would be interesting. You ready to continue with our episode here? Because we have, obviously, Boba Fett.
Yes.
So Grogu's still communing. Din Djarin sees the unnamed ship that we have had a previous name for. And we have the entrance of Boba Fett and there's a name. Fennec Shand coming back.
Yes.
And I have to say, I really liked her in this episode.
I loved her in this episode. She was amazing. But I will say one thing. It was just a little bit funny to me when Boba Fett's like, oh, I have someone up on a cliff. She's trained on Baby Yoda. It's like, you look up, it's like, oh, she's like 5 feet above me. How did I not notice it's her?
Well, she's a master assassin, or she was.
Yeah.
But I'll also say there's a bit of a folly, and maybe we'll see what energy does as opposed to physical being. But if you can't get through that force field, do you think a blaster bolt's
That's what I was thinking too. Well, they didn't know that, obviously.
I
but
suppose.
You would think Mando would feel a little more safe.
Yeah.
Knowing that he has that force field.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought the exact same thing.
So we do have another sort of standoff here. And one thing I want to note, I am really glad that they gave Fett a good amount of dialogue, because they could have very easily have notched that out. But
made him a mute. Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. He's wanting his armor back. And another question I had that I'd like to discuss a little bit. Why didn't Boba Fett attempt to take the armor from Cobb back on Tatooine? Or did he and failed?
I don't see him losing a fight to Cobb, do you?
That's my point. I
mean, Cobb is cool. Don't get me wrong, but he isn't on that. At least the way he's portrayed in The Mandalorian, he's just not quite on that level to me.
Let me also say this. You know how they talked a lot about Tusken raids? What if Boba Fett was in those Tusken raids, like attempting to do sneaky armor stealing? Because maybe he wasn't like 100% or something like that. And I don't know.
Yeah, because I would say he probably lived amongst the raiders.
Judging by clothing.
More than likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have been kind of cool to see him trying to raid the villages and steal the armor back.
Yeah.
You'd think we would have had some mention of him, though, if Cobb had interacted with him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's a crazy guy out here. I have to watch out. He's always trying to steal my armor. You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Another thing I liked, it just popped on here. I'm a simple man making his way through the galaxy. Oh, he said the thing his dad said way back when in episode 2.
Yeah.
I thought that was
kind
of
the
cool.
Easter egg.
Yeah.
The way that he talks about his father in the entire episode's pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah. Also
especially
says,
when we start interacting with Mando about, and by the way, this whole deal with Fennec's damage and
she's like half robot, or she's got a robot midsection.
Yeah, very interesting. That's a little shocking to me.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize the extent of the damage she took.
Right.
So,
I'll say this, the more and more I've thought about this particular scene, the more and more it reminds me of like books and comics with bounty hunters. The way they speak to each other, it's like, it's nothing personal, kid. And they all know that, but they're in a standoff. But at the end of the day, they even have sort of that bounty hunter code where it's like, we might have to get dirty here, but we can still talk about it. It's a very strange way. I don't know if I'm necessarily describing it very well, but it is a very interesting kind of dialogue.
It's kind of like in the John Wick movies, The Sanctuary, where they're not allowed to fight each other.
Yeah.
Basically, something like that. It's like they have a mutual respect, but at the end of the day, they're cutting into each other's profits, or they're just out for blood at that point. So.
Right. Well, even the stand down here, like Boba drops his rifle, Fennec comes down, Mando puts his jetpack down and holsters his weapon. So it's it is an interesting bit of dialogue, and it's like you can just tell that like Mando doesn't have any personal feelings toward Fennec, doesn't have like any personal feelings towards Boba. They're talking about the armor, you know, and so forth. I don't know. I just thought it was a very interesting. It was an interesting. It's like we're not really here to kill each other, but we got to work this out.
Right. And Fennec, honestly, is acting quite differently than season 1 too, I think.
Yeah, I like I said, I like her, and I'll tell you,
I do too.
I think that they did some of that because people were so angry that she kind of got a bit of a non-treatment when she first appeared. She was just a sniper on a ridge. There wasn't much to it.
Yeah.
And I'll say another thing.
Looking back now, I can see why they did it the way they did.
Yeah,
truthfully.
I get it. I can kind of get it, but I know a lot of people wanted her to have a bigger part because she's not a no-name actress. She's done a lot of stuff. So anyway, we do see a transport coming with some stormtroopers, and Mando doesn't grab his jetpack. That
I know
bothered me.
It infuriated me. It's like, okay, we're gonna set something up where you be screaming a jetpack would be perfect right now.
Yeah.
Well, which truly we didn't.
Well, he does have the remote control, so it can come back to him. But you're right there. Pick it up. But he runs to Grogu, tries to get him out of the force field, gets knocked out for a little bit. And then we see, and this is the interesting part, because I don't think that in a lot of mediums they would have done this. So Fennec and Boba Fett basically go to start hacking away at some Empire, you know, some of these troops. Yeah. Which, I mean, why? I know they landed close to the ship, so they want to get back to their ship, but it seems like they're far more interested in fighting the Empire, the Remnant or whatever, than like getting away. Did that seem odd to you at all?
It seemed very odd, especially for the part of Boba, because he's obviously worked so closely with the Empire in the past. I don't see why he would be so interested.
Well, he did say he has no allegiance to anyone now, so
true. And that begs the question, you know, did he try and contact the Empire again after he escaped? You know, what's the timeline there? Were they already fallen? I'd assume they were.
Yeah.
How was he treated? You know, how was he received? Was he considered a failure?
Right.
Did they do something to him? He's got scars, and we don't know if that's from the Sarlacc pit or something else.
We're assuming it probably is, though.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I wonder about his dealings with the Empire, or if it was really just dealings with Darth Vader. And I think we talked about this, if it was personal or if it was on the show, but, you know, I mean, what if Darth Vader always kept Boba around because it reminded him of better times during the Clone Wars? Because he is going to look exactly like Jango. I mean, it is what it is. So,
well, you think he just accidentally every once in a while called him Rex?
Oh my God, wouldn't that be nuts? Or Fives, or you know, some other Nick Cody. Hey Cody, what? Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's hard to say. Something else we kind of brought up earlier. This was a fairly violent episode.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Compared to others, and I'm just at that point now, the infamous cracked helmet scene. What did you think of that?
Well, it was interesting. So we're talking about the gaffy stick, which is I looked this up. There was actually an article on it, which is based off of a weapon from Fiji called a Todakaya, which apparently, you know, I don't know much about like the background with our actor here, Tamara Morrison. I don't really know about his background, but they say it sort of ties into his like cultural background and heritage and so forth. So I think that was really cool. So first and foremost, the gaffy stick is nothing new. We've seen it, but we haven't really seen it in action. What did I also bring up here? They also called it the Pineapple Club as well. It had like another like name. And
the Great Hammer too, or something like
something
that, which
like that.
Is an odd name. But.
So it is an effective weapon, like a real effective weapon. And I did think that I like the combat, because here's the thing. It would have been really easy to have Boba not be able to like do combat. And I think that the way they used him and the way he was able to fight off the troopers with this weapon was actually really cool. However, it was very violent. There was no blood. So I'll give him that. But, you know, there was helmet shards flying all over the place. And then there's the one scene where, and I know we've talked about.
It was almost like a 3D movie effect. Like, oh, here's some shards in your face.
Yeah. Well, there was a scene where he was dragging it on the ground. And I believe we have talked about this with another weapon that was being used at one point.
Yes.
What was that, dude? Well, whatever.
The Beskar spear wasn't drug on the ground.
No, there was some other effect. But anyway, so he drags it on the ground and then he just, whaps that last trooper upside the head. So it's very violent. And, I think some of the splaying of the bodies is
yeah.
But yeah, it was a very violent episode. And I mean, Star Wars can be violent. Some of the Clone Wars stuff was very violent. And I think that this is as good as you can do, showcasing some heritage weapon and really actually, showcasing a legacy weapon.
Yeah.
I think they did it as good as they could without like really, making it like a massacre.
Gory.
Like gory. Yeah. That's the word. So I thought I thought it was done pretty well, but I can understand how people would possibly not 100% like that, I guess, from a violence standpoint. But that's hand-to-hand combat. That's why we use blasters so much.
We do have a bit of a comedy moment after that, almost like an Austin Powers esque death.
Yeah.
With the giant boulder.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing. I don't know.
Why would that turret trooper think that he could just demolish that boulder with a Gatling laser like that? I don't know. I just found that kind of stupid. It was entertaining though, in a way.
I mean, I don't know. I think it was a little goofy, to be honest.
Yeah, it was.
But it's Disney. It's a little Disney. But yeah, it was very much the Austin Powers steamroller scene.
Steamroller, yeah.
Which is about, a joke on every Indiana Jones rock, right? So it was okay. I could have lived without it. I mean, why wouldn't you dive out of the way of the rock?
Right.
It constantly perpetuates how stupid, they want to write stormtroopers are. Yeah. But again, and then you watch Clone Wars and it's like, but they're not though.
They're elite warriors. It bothers me how much they portray them to be dummies.
Yeah.
When really they are the big baddie of most Star Wars movies. I mean, yes, you have your Emperors, you have your Vaders, but they're surmounting odds against you, or because you have so many soldiers to fight. And to make them so generic and useless just bothers me in a way.
Yeah, I thought it would have been cool if, we would have had one of the troopers pull out one of the arc weapons and face off against the gaffy stick. I think that would have been kind of cool. Maybe a little bit overkill, but I don't know, man. I understand the memes about troopers. I just feel like, okay, maybe you don't hit them with a laser bolt, whatever, but don't crush them with a rock that should be pretty easily avoidable. And I'll tell you this, that turret though, I feel like should have broken through that rock. Depending on its composition, I'm just saying it's a turret. I mean, it's much more powerful than a hand weapon.
True.
Okay. Well, let's move on just a tiny bit. We do get troop reinforcements, so they're not fooling around. Mando tries again and again to try and get in the force field. Can't get him. Finally, that field does collapse, and little Yoda has a little nappy. That was cute. Little baby nap, which unfortunately makes him susceptible to what's coming. But Mando comes down to help out Boba and Fennec, which I thought was kind of cool, as Fennec is basically surrounded. I wondered if they were gonna knock her off. Like,
I did too.
They didn't.
And it's funny with these seeker missiles that Mando uses. I distinctly remember the Master Forger telling him how rare they were, and basically it's a one-time deal. You're not gonna get more of them.
She made him a lot.
It's like, wow, he just reloads them at like a generic video game. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the market. Oh, good, they have my seeker missiles. I'm gonna go ahead and buy those.
Yeah. But I do like Mando coming in.
But they are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, doing the right thing, helping out people that are obviously fighting. So he's fighting the good fight, taking a lot of shots to the armor. That can't feel good. And then, of course, we get Boba Fett, and using every single weapon he has. Knee shots, gauntlet shots, blowing up a generator that was there. Firing,
did
the rocket.
Did you forget that he had knee
totally
rockets? Because I did.
I totally
forgot about that.
The choreography for this was really, really cool.
It was.
However, I will say this: having the stormtroopers run away seemed a little bit weird.
Yeah, it did.
No, we can't stand up to three people.
At least the armor looked right on him too.
It looked good.
It was so goofy on Cobb. I'm glad it can finally look cool again.
So skinny.
Because it is cool armor.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
No, but
I never had a problem with the armor. It's just the character was never one of my favorites.
Correct, for sure.
So, and honestly, I kind of like it wore down the way it is more than
antique.
In good shape.
But we get the rocket fire scene, which apparently that rocket can take down a transport ship. Although it wasn't the one he was aiming for.
I meant to hit the other one. Why? That was the perfect shot. Why wouldn't you go for the top one?
Yeah. His targeting computers need an update. They need a firmware update. And then we get probably my most hated scene of this entire episode. It's sad, dude. It's so sad. The Razor Crest is annihilated.
Yeah, I was pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I was very angry about this.
Sucked.
You're not gonna find another one. You're not. I mean, that's an iconic ship. It really is.
Well, I think eventually we'll get another one. I really do. I think it will. We'll get another one, but it does kind of tag Boba and Fennec for future use.
Yeah.
Because they have a ship and Mando doesn't.
Yeah. It's like, well, either he's getting stranded or he's going with them. At that point, it's like, okay, obviously they're teaming up again.
100%. 100% team up here. But yeah, complete annihilation of the Razor Crest. That was a sad thing. Boba takes off to get to his ship so they won't shoot it down as well or just, blow it up. And then we get what was in Moff Gideon's little terror lab there. They're not Vaders, they're not Force sensitives, they're not battle suits, they're new droids.
They are dark troopers.
Well, I mean, they could be human hybrids like the Borg.
Death troopers.
They could be the Borg, the new Star Wars Borg.
Yes.
They look to be droids.
They're infused with Sith blood.
Oh, God. Well, at any rate, they look to be some sort of new crazy droid, right? I mean, that's what we're assuming. They could have human component, but it looks like, arms, legs, they're mechanical. Do you think they're doing some insidious? Do you think there's a human in there? Like a body that they augmented?
Oh no, it could be some Mortal Kombat type shenanigans. Never know.
I don't think it is. I think it's just
people turn into cyborgs. Yeah, no, it's definitely just a droid. There's no way. I mean, I guess it could be like a Grievous type deal where you're 90% machine, but I really doubt it.
Maybe.
I just like the idea of it being a droid, personally. I'm okay with that.
We don't get a confrontation, however, with these, so we don't really get to see if they're good or not. they snatch Grogu and go back up to Gideon's ship. So he's now captured. We do have Boba Fett. This was an interesting scene, though, when he's flying his ship and he's, oh, we'll destroy him. It's like, no, don't destroy him. They've got the baby. But then when he's flying up in the clouds and he sees the Moff Gideon ship, he's like, they're back. Like almost like scared.
Yeah.
So when you said earlier,
I really want to know what he did, what happened to him.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is like, I mean, he was left for dead. It's like, I can't assume that the Empire would want to kill him for that or whatever. But yeah, it feels like possibly he might have contacted the Empire and maybe did something, or maybe he's just afraid of the Empire coming back. I don't know. It was weird. It felt weird to me. It's like
very weird.
But there again, he's also been potentially trapped on Tatooine for a while, so he might not have known that there would be remnants of the Empire or anything like that. Another thing I thought was weird is that the Empire didn't just shoot him down. Why didn't they just shoot him down? I mean, he was like close, right?
Yeah. Ship following the droids, potentially shooting them down. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, it was kind of, I don't know. It was interesting. So then we're kind of getting towards the end here a little bit, but Mando's searching the wreckage. He finds the little ball. Of course he does.
Yes, the two things that survive, of course. Maybe it's a Beskar ball. You never know.
Yeah, whatever. So he finds the Baby Yoda's plaything and then also the spear, which is going to come. I mean, this thing is going to be important, obviously, right? And then we have it, and then again, what we alluded to earlier, this really interesting kind of pact, I guess, that they have here with Boba and Fennec and Mando, where they're gonna join up. It's like, we're gonna help you. We're gonna help you get him back. It's like, why? I mean,
again, it goes back to they're really portraying Boba as a man of his word.
Yeah, but I mean, Mando shot Fennec.
Mm-hmm.
She's not angry at that at all. Boba's, apparently no longer ruthless. It's cool, but I don't get it.
Ruthless, but not towards Mando. That's what I'm getting a vibe of, just by how he interacted with the stormtroopers.
But why though? You know what I mean? But why? It just doesn't. I like where we're going if we continue going, but it's like I'm almost on guard. It's like, will Boba betray him at some point?
Well, and I guess the question is that going to happen, or is it one of those things where the writer's like, well, it would be epic for the show. We have to have two Mandalorians team up,
Well, but you could have just gotten
it doesn't matter how you write them. It's just, this is how you do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with it. I mean, I'm cool with seeing this version of Boba Fett and Fennec, go off. How many times have I talked about on this show? I want him to have a crew that they do cool missions with. How many times have I said that?
A consistent crew that doesn't just rotate out every few episodes.
Yeah. I mean, I like seeing all the characters, but make a crew, do something epic, do Rebels. This is, we're, I'm Razor 1, Razor 2, Razor 3 reporting in. I don't know. Preferably not Slaved 1, 2, 3. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I don't want to do that. But I just feel like, get a crew together, please. And I'm just a little leery of Boba Fett because of everything that Boba Fett's done. And Mando's not going to know anything about that.
Well, but again, what has he actually done? Because again, we have a clean slate, unfortunately, other than Clone Wars and the movie. That's all we have to go off of. We can't go by the EU anymore.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Which sucks. It makes it difficult with these legacy characters to really have a solid opinion of them. But
yeah.
I think that Mando definitely something clicked for him as soon as he finds out that Jango was a foundling, and
right. Well, yeah,
he's got a newfound respect for him.
Yeah, and that was the thing here when Boba shows basically the
chain code.
The chain code that his armor is tuned to. And also when the scene comes up, if you notice on his gauntlet, he's got several little tiny slots on this little guy here that could definitely have those little what were those called that Mando shoots off that we were talking about? I can't remember what those deals are.
Hornet missiles or something like that.
Yeah. But he has little cutouts for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I did like the little sequence, and it's like proving that this is his armor. Your father was a foundling. The armor belongs to you. I did think that, Boba's sort of like, we owe you thing. It's like, well, you don't actually owe him anything. It was your armor. He's just giving it back. So what do you owe? Nothing really. But I think you're right. I think it's getting back into like, my father fought in the Mandalorian Civil War. By proxy, I feel as you type of deal. So I think it's like a kinship at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this all comes out here, I guess. But our next sequence here, we're back on was it Navarre, and Kara has a cool new badge, which coincidentally, dude, everybody and their brother is producing 3D printed badges and trying to sell them right now.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I wondered if that would blow up.
Dude, if I could find one that was like all metal, like cast metal and everything, I'd be down. I'd be down to have one of those on the bookshelf. I'm a marshal. Yeah. I'm a Republic marshal.
Be next year's Halloween costume.
Yeah, no doubt. So we get back with Kara, and that now we're going to potentially get another character back, another carrot back. Well, he is a carrot top. He is a redhead. Mayfeld, which was portrayed by Bill Burr. And I think we talked about that a while back. Burr was like, "No, I'm not doing any more." But it's like, "Oh, but you are, Bill.
Read your contract.
Read your contract." Are. Which is fine. I like Bill Burr. I think it would be cool to have him back. And then I also think we're picking up Kara, right? She's gonna come too. Yeah,
I would say so. I would hope so.
What do you think about Grief? Is Grief gonna come too?
Grief's getting a little too old for this.
I don't think.
I don't think he's going to.
I think it'd be cool, but I don't think he will.
I think he's going to stick to Navarro and protect it.
I think so. So we've got a little crew here, a little 4-man crew. And then let's get to kind of the crazy stuff here with Gideon. We're on the ship. They're traveling through the TARDIS, hyperspace. And got little Grogu locked up, and he's
beating on some stormtroopers.
Chase brought this up. Do you think that well, okay, let me frame this the way I was thinking about it. So he's doing Force stuff to the troopers. Gideon's loving it too, by the way. At one point, Grogu does a little Force choke, right? And then bops them together.
Mm-hmm.
They do get up, so they're not dead. But the question came up, is Grogu doing a little dark side here? And my opinion is, I don't necessarily think Force choke is a dark side ability. And I'll go even further. I don't think a lot of abilities that are considered dark side are necessarily always dark side. I think it depends on the
Force choke before.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, I think it depends on the emotion behind it. And the way I framed it with Chase, because he's on These Are the Voyages Star Trek podcast, if you had a Vulcan who is all logic, who also could be like a Force wielder. So let's just say a complete logic-driven person who also happens to be a Force wielder. You could logic yourself into anything, an emotionless decision to use Force lightning. Does that make it evil? I don't know. I don't know if it does or not. Personally, for me, I don't necessarily think that using Force Choke makes you attuned to the dark side. I think it depends on the emotion you put behind it. And I don't think Grogu has the training or the knowledge to even differentiate at this point.
Right. Well, when you think of Force abilities, okay, let's think of the application of the Force ability. Force Push seems like a pretty basic ability. It's a light side user ability. It's a dark side user ability, but the light side will use it. You could Force Push someone into a, lava pit on Mustafar.
Yeah.
But you've used a light side Force ability to do something terrible.
Yep.
So is it the ability that really defines dark or light, or is it the application of the ability?
Yeah.
There are applications for Force Lightning that wouldn't necessarily kill someone. You could almost use that as a way to jumpstart someone whose heart has stopped beating.
Hey, I need a jump, Jimmy. Can you give me some of that Force Lightning? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And honestly, in the prequels, I wouldn't put it past Georgie boy to use that to get a speeder running if it was fair game to use Force Lightning.
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't think that Force Choke is inherently a dark side ability.
Right.
Again, is it any worse to Force Choke someone that would be to Force push them into a vat of lava?
Yeah.
And again, Luke used it in Return of the Jedi. So,
but it does kind of play a little bit into how much training does Grogu have? Does he? Because it's very clear from this scene that he doesn't have unlimited power, but he doesn't necessarily have
unlimited nap time.
Yeah, he doesn't seem. Okay, let me just throw this out here: is Grogu even a powerful Force user?
It's hard to tell because I don't know enough about that species. What was Yoda doing at that age?
Yeah, and there again, like, kind of pulling away from the Force, did that affect his ability to use it, let it flow through him? I don't know. I don't know if I can necessarily answer that, but like, he's very easily tired out by dealing with two stormtroopers, of which, say, like Obi-Wan Kenobi would have dealt with easily. He would have bopped him against the wall, they would have been knocked out, right? So either
the way to look at it, though, with his age, if what his age makes him with his species, if he's the equivalent of say a 3-year-old Anakin Skywalker, I don't think Anakin would have been lifting giant beasts up into the air at the age of 3. It's hard to tell.
But
he also has training.
Well, right, but here's my question, and I think this is unfortunately dealing with the power scaling of the Force that never has made any sense. Are you born with it, or is it Maybelline? Okay, no, I mean, are you born with it, or is it a taught ability? Okay, does like muscle memory and like learning of theory, like a Harry Potter thing, make you more powerful, or are you just attuned in the beginning and you just sort of have to like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this. And then like, it's more like your belief in you're doing it. Like Yoda always preached to Luke. It's like, do or do not, there's no try. Just do it. You don't have to see proof in order to do it. You just have to believe you can do it. But Grogu clearly knows that it can happen, but he has trouble. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought, I guess.
Yeah, power scaling has always been difficult in Star Wars, but I think it's been terrible, let's be honest, in some cases.
Yeah.
But I think what it boils down to, logically to me, is, it's like any other skill for a normal person. Some people are going to be more in tune to being able to, say for one thing, being able to play guitar. Some people will have the fingers for it. They'll have the dexterity for it, but they still need to train.
Sure.
But they're going to be at a predisposition to be better off to do well playing guitar, or do well at sports or any other physical activity. I think it takes a little bit of both. You have to have.
I don't know. I think that
obviously with midichlorians you have to have a certain count. We know that, but you also need to train.
I think it diminishes though.
I
think it diminishes though the contact with the Force though, because as we're constantly told, it doesn't really have anything to do with you. You're not using the Force necessarily. The Force flows through.
You're letting it flow through you.
So I don't know. It just has always felt to me that it would be more of a connection. Okay, so let me ask this question: who's the most powerful Jedi in the universe?
In the EU or
no? Just in it doesn't matter. Just in general, and I'll tell you why it's the answer that I have.
As far as Jedi go, I would have to probably. I don't know. See, that's difficult because it changes.
Well, it doesn't matter. Just like throw out a name. Any name.
I mean, I'm going to go for Luke because I know what he's done.
Okay. So let me put this to you. Who has survived? Who was the consummate survivor who defeated, I mean, pretty much most of the people that he has ever faced, and wasn't necessarily killed. He kind of just gave it up.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi. He beat Anakin, who was supposed to be the chosen one, right? I mean, Dooku kind of got the better of him, but Dooku's cool. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. Like, I personally have always thought the Force chooses you for your designation at the time. I don't think it has anything to do with anyone. You are literally there. The great circle of life does its thing. Anakin played his part. The Emperor plays his part in the Force. I mean, we're just talking about the Force, not the natural world, but in the Force. And it all winds up creating some sort of balance. We might not like the balance. I'm just saying, we might not like the balance, but it does balance itself out.
So let me present this question to you. Obviously, we both have talked about this extensively. Technically, Anakin did fulfill the prophecy.
Yeah.
He did. He brought perfect balance to the Force. But the only way he was truly able to do that is through Luke, truthfully. He brought him back from the brink. So here's a question. Was the Force able to tell the path that Anakin was going down, knew that his son needed to survive, knew that all these events had to happen, could look into the future in a way, and chose Obi-Wan for that, made him so powerful through all those fights?
Everything happens for a reason. And unfortunately, this is like almost like a hyper faith sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think that, again, I don't think the Force is good or evil. I think you can have good and evil on both sides of the light or the dark.
The Force knows what needs to happen. Yeah, I believe the Force has a preference. But
I mean, the preference is balance. I don't think it wants to be, because again, it's like Bob Ross always said, you got to have a little darkness to display the light. You know what I mean? You got to put the shading in so that your light colors shine through. It's a symbiotic, yin and yang sort of relationship. You can't have one without the other. There is no light without dark. There's no dark without, light. It's all just in counterbalance. But the thing is that, I mean, is the Force in the moment, is its time linear, or is it
all encompassing?
Yeah. Which I think would be more to the point. And then you're getting into the whole, sort of thought of a God, which in this case, I don't think it's all one thing. I think it's an interconnection between all things, philosophically, I guess. But the thing is like, so you have Anakin eliminating what pretty much is a sort of corrupt Jedi order, which has failed in its connection with the Force. You have a Sith he's an evil dude. He's an evil guy. We know that, but
trying to harness the Force for his own.
Yeah.
But Truthfully, the Jedi were doing the same thing, trying to harness the Force for their own will.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I think they fail to understand is it has nothing to do with your will. You just have, and this is what Qui-Gon Jinn, hold darn
Will
time.
of the Force.
Will of the Force. Stop trying to will it to make your ends meet and just let the will of the Force be itself. So you let Anakin do that stuff. He does his thing. But yes, you have these children of Anakin to counterbalance the light and the dark. So yeah, I mean, I think Obi-Wan might have been power scaled for the situation. Mm-hmm. Here's another thing that I brought up that I want to talk a little bit about. It's a meme, so take it with a grain of salt. But I don't even know who wrote this. I think it was a Reddit post or whatever.
Tell me it's the Anakin meme for Grogu.
No. It is a Grogu thing, but it's basically like a conversation. Let me just read it here. Master Grogu, I thought Jedi were not supposed to form attachments. And it was him. He's kind of like, he's got the ball, he's older. He's got the ball. Attachments do not lead to the dark side. Fear of losing them does. I don't understand. You can be attached to something, but not fear losing it. Treasure those around you while you can and rejoice when they return to the Force. You mean when they die? Death is a natural part of life. I wish it weren't. But it is. Once you accept that, the dark side will never take you. I have to live knowing that life and death are inseparable. It sounds impossible. No, Padawan, it is not impossible. It is the way. Anakin's fear and his slide to the dark side was his fear of losing those he loves, which is a very common thing. People don't accept death well because you don't see them anymore. They're not here in the physical sense. And then there's even the question of, is there something after this?
Yeah.
Do we have an afterlife? Is there is the soul a real thing and we'll be reunited with our loved ones or have another journey or even reincarnation or something? Is there something after this? In Star Wars, you have the Force. You go back into the Force. And that's something that as a Jedi should comfort them, but unfortunately, they're still beings and imperfect, flawed beings. That is some sick stuff right there. If you could teach Padawans that, the dark side wouldn't be as powerful.
But truthfully, it's ironic coming from someone who potentially could be the son of Yoda, and obviously it's not canon post, but it's a really cool idea.
Yeah, it's neat.
But it's such a different outlook on the Force from what Yoda had, who was supposed to be the wisest Force user in the entire galaxy.
Well, even the wisest can make mistakes or not understand everything. Just because you're wise doesn't make you omnipotent. So,
I would like to see the wisdom of Yoda 200 years before, 300 years before the events we saw took place. Because remember, he wasn't just getting to that point in life where he was wise beyond his years. Mm-hmm. I believe that things changed him even throughout the course of the movies, and you can even see that. You see a lot of regret in him.
Yeah.
Atonement for his shortcomings. I just would like to see if there was a different outlook of Yoda.
Sure.
Well,
you never know.
300 years ago.
Yeah, you never know. High Republic, we might see him a little younger, see what he was like then. But let's go ahead, because we're running kind of long here. Let's go ahead and wrap the final scene here between Moff Gideon and Grogu. Moff, he takes out the Darksaber. We always got to have lightsaber ignition from a bad guy. It's just
yes.
It has to happen. It is the way.
Look what I can do.
God, Grogu's little wheezing was so cute too. And here was another thing that Chase had said as Grogu kind of reaches out for the saber. Chase kind of joked around. He said, "Hey," text me. He said, "Hey, does anybody check that little guy for like a little hidden lightsaber? Is he packing?" You got to think if he was like learning
little
in the
butter
temple.
Knife size one.
Well, it's very possible that he might have had a starting lightsaber. We don't know if he even got to that point, because like we see in Clone Wars, Ahsoka and Yoda take that group of Padawans to the cave to find kyber crystals. So we don't know if Grogu got to that point, but he knows what a saber is. He's reaching out for it. He can't get it. He's not, he's very tired. So tired, so sleepy. But what if you just hear a little bzzz. It's just like a little tiny pocket knife. Shank.
No. No. You would hear bzzz.
God. I just thought it was an interesting thought that was brought up. It's like, I don't know. You would think he would have had some sort of at least exposure to lightsabers. So who knows? Maybe he trained on his father's saber.
Yeah, be about the right size for him.
Yeah. I love Gideon. I
do too.
I love this dude. He is so Giancarlo Esposito, man. He is so good. He's just so good.
It's a shame he doesn't get more roles than he did. It feels like we, Breaking Bad than this. What happened in between? I don't feel like he got the recognition he deserved in between.
He's just an
amazing actor.
His laugh, his smile, he's funnier than heck. But here was another thing that was memeing around Twitter: the little baby handcuffs. It's like, so
yes.
the Empire had little tiny baby handcuffs somewhere.
Right. Well, when you actually stop to think about it, it's kind of a dark thought, but yes, it is cute as heck seeing him in those in a way. Another meme that was going around all week, I'm sure you saw it. It was is a meme with Anakin and Grogu, and there's this little list of names. And Anakin's like, Grogu was always nice to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Grogu, don't go to the temple tonight.
Yeah. That was good. I really enjoyed that too. Yeah. That was fun. It's like, how did he escape? Right. Grogu, don't go to the temple.
Little Annie.
Goodness. Well, man, I think let's go ahead and give this bad boy a rating, and we'll wrap her up here. So, what are you rating it out of 10? What are your thoughts?
My rating would be a 9.5.
Okay.
Had it not been for the Razor Crest. So my rating, because of the Razor Crest, will be a 9.
Okay.
I know that it, it's a matter of loss. Tragedy is the name of the episode. You're losing everything at once, but still, it sucks. But very good episode. I liked how they portrayed Boba Fett and Finnick in the end. And I'm very excited to see what happens next episode, especially the setup for a team. We need that. We've wanted that for so long. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm giving it a solid 9.
Yeah, it is definitely a setup episode for what's to come, which there's no issue with that. I am a little leery about, some of the stuff that we had talked about during the episode. Obviously, the Boba Fett stuff. I like the portrayal. I'm just not 100% on, like, where is this going to go? And even sort of the automatic way they're hitching their giddy up together just sort of seemed a little bit strange to me at the time. Not bad, just strange. But that was cool. Droids, overblown droids. There's got to be more to those too, because if that's all it is, it just seemed like a waste of speculation the week before. I think we were talking about, it's an army
set up for that last season. It's got to be something more.
It was a bunch of Darth Vaders. No, it's just some interesting droids, I guess. Which again, so we're going back to droids instead of like Death Troopers, like hyped up trooper guys. So whatever. But no, I think overall it was a very good episode. It's not my favorite episode. It's fine. I'll calm down a little bit. I got to be more objective. But I think given a lot of that, I think it's a very, very solid episode. I was super hype about watching it. Very, very in tune. And I gotta say, man, this show is the reason why I'm buying a sound bar for my TV, because I gotta have more. I gotta have more oomph. Okay, so I got a sound bar coming.
I've been thinking about doing the same thing. Yeah.
It's like I need it. I need it now for that in football. But anyway, I think it's a solid episode. I'm gonna give it an 8.8. I think it's high. I mean, I think it's a really good. I think we're just really into the meat of things, and I'm really enjoying the ride so far. So here's the next episode, and hopefully it winds up being just as epic as the last 3 have been.
Yes.
So, yep, 2 more episodes left. 2 more. And then we are on the long wait to the next season.
Then we go into the new year just miserable and depressed because there's no more Star Wars.
Well,
and I might finally try Squadrons.
Well, we've got High Republic. And so we've got more. And there's a lot of word on some other potential series, which I think we'll talk about at another time. I think we're tapped out on this one, but I think that's about it. You guys have a great rest of your week. Oh, wait. Don't say the words. Don't say it yet. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at TC Plan Podcast, and send us an email about how much you like the episode to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Patreon. You better stop it. I'm going to cut your audio right now. I will cut it, and I won't let you say it. I'll say it myself. You knock it off. But yeah, follow us on all the social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Let us know what your theories are from the episode and what might be coming. How are we going to end this? Who was Grogu communing with, if anybody? Is Boba Fett going to stab everybody in the back? All that good stuff. So, yeah, just had to get that out there. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force